If it's free, it's me. Today's video is all about free homesteading. Today I want to talk to you guys about a couple free things if this is the time of the year to do it. Homesteading can get expensive. Our little homestead, we have spent everything we've got trying to make this thing work. When I retired, I worked in law enforcement for over 20 years and I got tired of people and I wanted to be left alone. In order to do that, I wanted to know what my budget was going to be the rest of my life. I put in solar and batteries to where I knew I would never have an electric bill. I knew how much it would cost. I started planting fruit trees because I wanted to eat healthier. I wanted to know what was going in chemical free into my diet. And I also wanted to be able to save money. And as I got older and older and older, I knew my food bill could really be reduced and hopefully get to the point where it's 100% self-sufficient and not have to do that. I started planting a bunch of trees. We've planted over 300 trees on this property. It was a wheat field when we first started. 100% totally different looking place now, and a lot of the trees when we first planted them got sprayed by a farmer and they all got killed, which there's nothing that agitates me more than that, but nonetheless it was all made right. And we decided that, you know, we can't afford to just replace tree after tree after tree after tree. So I planted on the back side of my pond, I planted a bunch of that, I think it's called a Runda Domax. It's like a river cane, and it's supposed to be one of the greatest things that you can plant in the ground to sterilize the ground. It'll absorb all the chemicals and get rid of it. But not only that, it borders and encloses and encompasses my property, which we've planted it a lot farther around. Hopefully this year it'll be tall enough to do, but it'll catch that spray and keep it off the trees. During that time, I started thinking, how could I get a bunch of trees that we could do without having to spend a bunch of money? And it hit me like a brick. I used to go pick wild sand plums all the time, and I love them. You know, they grow in finch rows all the way around out here. So I decided that we would go do that. So see over here, pardon my weeds and my mulch this time of year, it gets a little bit rough, and I have just had a pretty major knee surgery and literally got staples out a week ago. So I'm just now technically not supposed to be doing anything, but I can't sit on a recliner too long. But you can see right here, these are all my wild sand plums, and there's 50 of them. Now those 50 little shrubs, they'll actually produce fruit this year. I planted some on the other end of my property the first year. Not a lot of fruit, but they'll produce some fruit, and they work really, really, really well. If you dig them up this time of year, they are dormant, so the roots are going to start growing in the ground, and the tops aren't needing it, so they will do better. If you try digging up in the summertime, they hardly ever make it, but if you dig them up in the winter or early spring, you have a lot better luck. So that was one thing. The next thing was blackberries. I see blackberries all over the place. Now there's a lot of people who don't want wild blackberries because they're thorny. I don't mind them. I actually use them to keep animals from coming in and out through a fence, so it keeps the smaller animals from going through. Here I have about a 500-foot fence of wild blackberries. Yes, they're thorny, but a tip for that: go to a welding store or go to Harbor Freight, and they sell what's called welding sleeves, and they're just leather sleeves that have elastic on both ends that welders wear in their gloves, and it keeps them from getting burnt and stuff when they're welding, but it keeps the thorns from getting into you, so you can go in there and you can pick them real easy. With that said, we pick about a 5-gallon bucket of blackberries every year off of these, and they were 100% free. Blackberries are really good. They're good for you. You can do stuff with the leaves. Rabbits love the bark, so when they start to get old in that year that they're not producing, I'll cut them and trim them back off and feed them to the rabbits. They love them. They're just a great, easy thing to do. Now, I've been injured, so this year's been a real horrible year. I've had 6 surgeries on my knee and a complete knee replacement, and then I had to get some muscle work done after the knee replacement. So I've got a lot of weeds. Now that I'm healed, I don't have to go to work. So I got a lot of work to do out here. Another plant that I got for free, and this is the time of year to do it, actually next month. So you see these elderberry bushes, you can take cuttings off of, and I'm gonna do a video on that because I'm gonna make some cuttings in the next couple weeks. I'm going on a fishing trip, and when I get back, I'm gonna make some cuttings. But I'll show you how you can take those cuttings and start them on elderberries and figs. So blackberries, wild plums, elderberries, and figs, you can easily, this time of year, get them for free. And they don't take long to produce. If you don't get fruit that first year, that second year, you're gonna get fruit. And it costs you $0 to do that. It's one of those things, they grow naturally in your environment. So why not get a plant that grows naturally in your environment that you know is going to succeed than trying to start a plant that's from some other environment and doesn't. I think this is logical common sense, and they spread and they spread and they spread, and they're from here. So it to me, I like the idea of growing something that belongs in this environment. It's going to do better. The climate's going to do better with it. They just seem to work, and they're natural. It's a free resource. So the money that I could have bought plum trees and blackberries, I can take that money and use somewhere else. So I can use that money establishing more fencing and buildings for my animals and stuff like that. So not everything in homesteading has to be expensive. I just gave you 4 types. I'll walk you over real quick and show you. Orchard. This one here I planted last year, and I actually got a little bit of fruit off of it. I cut it back. I got to do some pruning on it, but I've hauled in a bunch of arborist chips that have leaves and pine needles and stuff in there, and then I've tied a ton of wood ash on it, and then I use fish emulsions that we do ourselves and put that on there, and the soil is unbelievable. You can dig it with your hand, where before it was rock hard. But right here you can see my little fig bush, and those little figs, you can do cuttings off of them as well, and they will, and you'll have figs. That was actually a cutting that I did, I think the year before last, and then I ended up transplanting it over here. But nonetheless, the figs, they produced fruit last year. I was able to get fruit, and I think they're 2 or 3 years old. I don't honestly know, but they didn't make a lot of fruit, but they did make fruit. I'm expecting this year that they'll do better. Every bit of it was free. So if you know what trees look like in the fall once the leaves fall off, you can go dig them up, or you can wait until next year. And what I did when I wasn't sure about certain trees, I take flagging tape and I'll tie it on the trees on the places that I know I can legally dig them up, and then I'll go out there and I'll dig them up in the winter once the leaves fall off, plant them, mulch around them real good to protect them in the winter, fertilize them good with natural compost, and then water the dickens out of them for a little while. In the springtime, they recover, they come back perfect, and they do really good. Blackberries won't make fruit their first year. They always make fruit on their second year. So when you're digging up plants that are actually a year old, you'll get fruit that first year, because they're going to fruit their second year on the vine all the time. So this is a way to save you a little bit of money. You get you at least 4 types of fruit that you can put on your farm for free. And they're healthy, they're good. It's something natural that you can put in your diet, chemical free. So I hope this helps, guys. We'll see you in the next video.